Okay, welcome to video number 7. This is about parameters, and they're a little bit tricky, so I'm going to slow down a little bit, but please make sure to ask me any questions in class about this, because it's a tricky idea. It's a cool idea, but it's a tricky idea. Okay, so we talked about the penguin swaggering, great big deal. Now we want the penguin to push the ball, and the penguin's going to move forward to bump in the ball, and then the ball will move forward to bump into the pin. So we're going to add a procedure, but we're going to add it in the penguin class, meaning that the only objects in there are the penguin. You know, camera and ground don't count. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it up so that the penguin could push anything, not just a ball. What this does is this opens up a lot of possibilities for us, and it makes it the programming a lot more flexible, as you'll see. So we're going to name the procedure push object, and the idea is that the penguin faces the target 1 meter away. Target is facing the same direction as the penguin. Penguin moves forward 1 meter to bump into the target, and the target will move forward. Okay, we don't really care so much about what the target's going to do. We just need to care about what the target is. So here's the name of our procedure, and right now we're just going to worry about this. The penguin is going to move forward to bump into the target. The ball was originally 1 meter in front of Penny. Penny's our penguin, and Penny's going to move forward 0.75 meters. Okay. So here's the deal. We are going to talk about adding parameters. We're not going to worry about this. Okay. We're going to add parameters, and again, really important, our procedure, push object, is in the penguin class. We are working in the penguin class. And so, all we really have in that class is this. Let me show you. Hang on a second. Okay, I'm in the penguin class right here, and if I scroll down, really my options are this and target. Don't worry about target right now. So that's all I have in there. I don't have the ball in there. Do you see that? If I go to my first method, then I got lots of options of things. But if I'm in this procedure under penguin class, my only options of things to move are what are the penguin, or this. Okay, so that's really important. Hang on a second. Let me figure out how to go back. Darn it! Come on. I'm really sorry. All right, well, we'll just do it this way. Okay, so so the ball is out of scope. It's unavailable to be used in the penguin class. So what do? We need the ball there. Could we do everything in my first method? Sure, but that's not very elegant, and I'm trying to teach you how to do some elegant programming. Okay, so let's talk about parameters. A parameter is used to send information to a procedure when the procedure is invoked, and that's really important. We haven't invoked the procedure yet, right? The procedure is called push object. You've already been dealing with parameters, you just didn't know it. Anything that was, so move, right, is the verb. I guess you could consider these the adjectives, right? What direction do you move? Maybe it's adverbs. What direction do you move? What distance do you move? When you're talking about turn, you're talking about the direction and how many rotations you make. So our parameter today is going to be what we call target. It's a thing, and the penguin's going to move forward to bump into the target, and then the target will move forward. And what that allows us to do is the penguin can push any darn thing he wants as long as we set it up properly. Okay, so the first thing I need to teach you is how to add the parameter. And you're going to see this show up in 2 places. So first we're going to go into push object, we're going to click add parameter, and we're going to set some stuff. Okay, the name of the parameter, that's easy. The type, well, that's a little bit more involved. So we talked about the different types in class, and they could be numbers, and they could be Boolean, and they could be a string. Well, the thing we didn't mention is they can also be objects. And when we're going to do objects, we need to figure out what class they are from. So that's when value type is going to come in. Okay, it's under, so we talked about these 4 in class, the numbers, the Boolean, the text. Gallery class is the other thing, and this is what we're going to be doing. So what's the bowling ball? Well, it's a sphere. So the gallery class we're going to deal with is a sphere, and what this allows the penguin to do is push any sphere we want. Well, that's kind of useful. Okay, so you go back, you figure out exactly what the deal was. You look at your hierarchy. You know, penguin's a flyer, right? So anything that a flyer can do, a penguin can do. And a bowling pin is a prop, and actually it is a sphere. Okay. So we could actually use, because its sphere is sort of under S shape, and S shape is under all these different things, you could put anything and that's fine. We're going to just work with sphere. This is a little bit more complicated than you need to worry about right now. I would just, if I were you, go to right above it so we know that it is a sphere. Okay. So we're going to put in sphere as the value type right here, and it'll show up in both places. Okay, we just have to put it here, and then the name, you can put in anything you want. All right, so let me show you on Alice what that looks like. Okay, so you can see they've already done it here. Let me just go through the steps of adding a parameter. So we're going to add a parameter. I'm going to pretend it's going to be a number. Okay, so I'm going to say distance. It would be nice if I could spell distance to ball. And you'll notice the parameter starting with a lowercase letter. All right, well, you guys know that a distance is a number, right? So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to pick it's a decimal number. And it's really interesting. They're warning you about something. I'm going to click that I understand, and we'll talk about what that warning is. But notice how it's put it together right here. Okay, these are the two things we chose. It came up here. Don't worry about array. Okay, so there it is. And look, it showed up here. So anywhere that there's a number, I could just instead, I'm going to make it a little bit more vague, and I'm going to put in distance to ball right here. Okay, well, that doesn't look that different. But watch what happens when I run it. If I run it, okay, there goes the penguin swaggering. Lovely, lovely, fine. And then Alice is freaking out. Why? Because I set up this thing called distance to a ball, but what is that distance? Did I ever define it? No. Where would I define it? In my first method. Why? Because that's where the procedure push object gets called, it gets invoked. And look, do you see that red right here? It's telling me, hey, you never set the distance to the ball. You never told us what number to put in. So right here is in distance to ball and in target, because those are our two parameters, these are undefined terms. They get defined in my first method, or wherever you call your method called push object. Okay, so you can see right now they said the target was a bowling ball. That works out because that's a sphere, and we need to set the distance. So I'm just going to make up a number. I can't remember what they said before. I think it was like 0.75. Maybe it was 1. Let's say it's 1. Okay, so let's try it and see what happens. Is it going to freak out again? Okay, so he's swaggering, very exciting, and boom, there he goes. Okay, and there's more to it. We're not going to worry about what the ball does right now. All right, so in the method that we wrote, this is where we could set up basically these storage locations. This is where I'm going to send you some information. Okay, so this is me talking to the push object procedure. Hey, procedure, this is where I'm going to send you some information. Here and here. Just hold it for right now, and when I call it, that's when I'm going to tell you what my target is and what my distance to ball. Could I change it? Sure. So let's change it here. Let's now make it 0.75. And we run it again, and I'm going to fly through the swaggering. Okay, so it was a better number. So that gives us some flexibility. Could all of that be written in my first method, right? Is this so complicated that it needs its own object? No, not right now. Will it be later? Yes. Okay, so just, all right. Could I put another target in? Well, let's try it out. Do I have anything else that qualifies as a sphere? I think I can look at it here. All right, so here's all your different options. Oh, sorry, it was bowling pin that was a prop. I think I called it sphere before. Do I have anything else that would work? Could I put penguin in there? Right? Could the target be a penguin? Well, if I go to the drop-down menu, no. The only options are it's going to give me the spheres. What if I added a whole bunch of extra spheres? Let's see if I can do this easily. This might be tricky. What if I... Okay. All right, let me pause. Okay, so I finally added another sphere. It's so now I have two, I have a bowling ball and a sphere. I just left it called as a sphere. I probably should have changed the name. But what that means is in my first method, I have some options now. My target could be a bowling ball or a sphere because both of those fall into the sphere class. Okay, so when I go back to push object, just to point out, my options for target are sphere. Now back here I have some different possibilities. All right, in retrospect I wish I'd called it something besides sphere. So let's say instead of bowling ball I do the red thing right here, and if I run, the penguin is going to go forward, and now it's going to go... So that makes no sense because I had the penguin go forward 0.75 meters, but he wasn't facing the red ball. But what I had happen is the red ball ended up moving. Okay, hopefully I haven't made things more complicated than they need to be. Okay, so I showed you how to select the parameter from the instance menu. Right here, we talked about this. Oh, what I didn't show you is that within push object, so let's go back to that. Now I can have target do a whole bunch of things because I've set up target as an object. It's a sphere type object, and instead of talking about a sphere moving forward, I talked about the target moving forward. So as you accidentally saw, when I went back to my first method, that means in that case, because I put the red sphere in, the red sphere moved. If I put back for target the bowling ball would move forward. So hopefully my mistake actually helped you understand it a little bit better. Okay, so again, here's the push object method. You saw me go through this, and that's it. All right, parameters are complicated, but they can really make your life easy. Please, please, please go through this maybe one more time and say to yourself, what don't I understand? What point do I want to go through in class? And we will next time I see you. Thanks.